Placester does this extremely well. And we're going to talk about what extremely well means and show that.
Let's talk about AEO, SEO, IDX. Old McDonald had a farm, Casey,
Yep.
AEIOU. But I think the differentiating factor here is IDX. IDX is the key. I'm watching it happen. Where do you want to start with these different things?
Yeah. When we fleshed out this topic, I was like, oh, we're going to do a week-long seminar, for each one of these. Could be its own
Yes.
day and a half. So I love cramming it into 30 minutes for everybody. So we're going to try to I want to do a little bit more show and tell this time around and just kind of talk over what we're seeing out there on our customer sites. And
Mhm.
I try to remind everybody, like, Placester does this extremely well. And we're going to talk about what extremely well means and show that. But what I'm showing you can be done on a lot of these top platforms, especially the real estate specific ones. And that's maybe a good place to start. So you brought up IDX as, hey, this is a thing we're talking about again. We went through a wave maybe like, I don't know, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, like right
Mhm.
kind of pre-COVID, started COVID, where people were like, I don't know that I need a search on my site. And
Mhm.
this was happening for, maybe one big reason is people were feeling kind of fatigued
Mhm.
from like, hey, I try to compete with the portals and I can't. And, if you can't beat them, join them. And join
Yeah.
them didn't mean have search. Join them meant like, let's pay money to the portals so that when people do search and they are getting to Zillow or homes.com, I have an opportunity to have an ad out there. And that's the only way that search is going to kind of matter for my business. And, I didn't disagree with people for a long time that they couldn't compete with portals. And I don't know that I'm going to pitch you that you can compete the
Mhm.
same way you think you might, homes for sale in Boston, but we'll talk about some niche keywords you can use. But now we're seeing this wave of IDX coming back and mattering. And it's mattering because this whole AI search has changed the game. And it's changed the game in two different ways. Number one, we are seeing people using like actual property search results on an AI, like show me 3-bedroom condos in Boston under 2
Mm.
million
Yeah.
as an actual search result that's
Ooh.
going to a realtor site and not to the portals, right? So we talked about this a few weeks ago, but for the first time, you're seeing some of that market share slip from Zillow's hands for these direct searches, right? Direct property searches, and
Mhm.
it's being disrupted. It's moving into AI search results. So that's the first thing. Now, that's a little bit harder, right? Because you've got to spend a lot of time, a lot of momentum has to get built in just an overall AI search world for the average agent to overtake Zillow. Okay, that's one thing. Momentum is building.
Well, dude, really quick, I wanted to just test it out. Casey, check this out. What are the top houses? Just a random
Yeah,
I feel like this is a natural search.
yeah,
Top house in Boston, Massachusetts. And look, it didn't take me to the
yeah,
first choices, which is typically Zillow
yeah.
at the bottom, or what else it would be? Whoever else shows up, dude, Redfin.
Purdue
It
real
took me
estate.
to
Yeah, right.
it took me to this, but look, Redfin's trying to compete here too,
Yep.
right?
Core as a result. Yelp. I mean, you got Yelp as a result there. Like,
Yep.
you're getting
Oh,
things
look.
going on that are not traditional. And so this should be exciting for people to see that, oh man, I'm never going to win moment. I feel like we're coming to the other side of it. Maybe
Yeah,
it's not next 6 months, but I guarantee after that, we're going to see this massive consumer search shift. And so
I
you
agree.
don't want to be caught flat footed there. That's like a big one. Um, I think the one that's more tangible, the one that matters today, is more related to AEO and SEO. And that is thinking about a content strategy that's predicated on listing results. So if you
Oh.
think about, right, there's a ton of stuff that we could write about to get found through AEO and SEO. And we're going to talk about that overlap in a second.
Mhm.
Um, but you've got to think about writing content. And there's kind of two big strategies here. You've got to think about writing content that incorporates search listings. So I'm going to show you one in a few minutes here about like neighborhood guides and how neighborhood guides, they could be static and not have listings, or they could have, a revolving door of what's actually happening in terms of live listings in a neighborhood. So that's kind of thing number one to be aware of. And then thing number two to be aware of is like, once you hook people on non-listing related content, you've got them on your blog. And most of us who have had a blog, especially with a real estate specific site, you've got really great opportunity for call to actions, right? CTAs. And CTAs might be, contact me, it might be sign up for my newsletter, but a CTA could be like, tour homes in Boston. It could be search listings in X neighborhood that I just wrote this article about. So having CTAs inside of your content that is listing related is probably like, if it's not one, it's 1.5 on the list of what to think about for where IDX matters. So we'll kind of show that off a little bit too. I want to share this guide with everybody afterwards. We built this phenomenal AEO guide, and there's a lot of cool interactive elements. We're going to use maybe one or two of them. So I'm going to start there. Let me pull this up.
All right.
All right. What do we got here? Now, I'm not going to start from the beginning because, I want to share it. People will have a moment to interact with it. It's very bespoke to you as you go through because you can put in your name, your location. It's going to give you some really awesome prompts. But I want to talk about this like AEO, SEO, AIO, artificial intelligence optimization. There's this difference that's emerging. All right. And I think for anybody who's been on our webinars before, or you've done this reading on your own, the two biggest splits that you're going to hear is like, well, we used to do SEO and it was all about keywords, right? And it was about having that. Okay. Well, now there's this different thing going on, which is you've got answer engine optimization. So let's think about this. We've got to have real, true answers that people want. And we've got to almost back into thinking about the questions that they might be asking. The good news is here, most studies suggest that there's a 60% overlap, right? There's this influence that's going on. And so the work that you're doing, most of us, I hope most of you, are repositioning your content strategy to be better written for AEO, right? A better structure. And I'll pull up a great post in a second. But the work that goes on behind the scenes, especially with the Placester site, there's going to be this overlap. And so you're not having to make this decision to say, oh no, I definitively have to pick one. Which one is it going to be? The answer is you're going to do both. Now, my personal recommendation, and you can say otherwise if you feel differently, Tristan, is there is some really great structure for AEO that I would recommend as your leader, because I think that's where the ball is going. And SEO will be kind of the second class to AEO, but not left behind. Because if you don't have the right technical structure for AEO, it's not going to matter. You're never going to get found. And so I would prioritize having that as a number one. Okay, what are those signals? What's actually out there? Now, the first, we've talked about this, is you have to have really great structured information and structured data. If your website does not have, the JSON LD or LMS text, go talk to your site provider. Ask them about this, because this is one of the number one questions that we get asked, which is my site going to show up, right? When searches happen. And so we built this many, many months ago. We continue to do this, but this is the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that you can't really see or touch or get your hands on very easily, where content creation, meta tags, and titles you can. So this is a big thing here. Make sure your site provider is telling you that they're doing this on your site, on every page that you're creating, because if you don't have this, the content you create, it's just going to fall on deaf ears when it comes to all the AI engines out there. It could do really well for SEO, but you don't want to be the person that's king of the hill on SEO and then you start to fall behind, because if everybody saw Tristan's screen when he pulled up his search, we didn't get SEO results first, did we?
No,
we saw
man.
Gemini's description, with their AEO results. So even if you're number one, my little fly brain, I see the first thing and I don't scroll much further. It's
Nope.
almost like SEO has become page two in some ways when you get a really good Gemini result over it, where everyone
Yeah.
laughs, like, where do you hide a dead body on page two of Google? And
Funny.
so you don't want to be in one of those two positions, be in both. If search engine
Mm,
optimization is what Google feeds up as the best answer, given the style of search that happens, great.
that's
But
funny.
make sure when people are asking real questions where you're going to show up for AEO, your site is supportive of that. All right. If we jump back over here, let's start to, we'll do a readiness report in a minute. I want to show you a couple sites and I want to talk through how I think they're weaving together content with IDX. So let's start over here. I love Amy's site. Amy's been she's been a client of ours for a while. Amy focuses on people that are relocating, usually from New York City into Fairfield County. And Fairfield County has some really beautiful towns, and she kind of focuses on two or three towns. And her SEO strategy has largely been about this one town, Westport. And what's really cool here is she has blended together this mix of resources, right? Actually valuable resources, number one, for her clients. And so when you talk to Amy about where do these content ideas come from, these are what clients ask her about, right? What's going on in this area if I'm making the move? And so she didn't start with how do I get ranked for SEO or how do I make this shift to AEO? She just said, like, I know after having 50, 60 conversations in a week or a month with people looking to make the move or in my area, this is what's important to them. So do not lose sight. Don't try to over engineer this to be found. Think first about what your clients are asking about. What is important to the people that you work with? If you are new to the industry, put yourself in the shoes of a renter, a buyer, or seller. What are the questions that you would want answered? What are the things that matter to you? And start to create content that feels like it's actually valuable, because creating that valuable content is one of the foundations. It's actually one of the misses when you see people that try to write content to rank. So just make sure you're starting with something that's valuable, and then we can work in structure from there. All right, Amy, she's got this really great content. There's a ton of resources. But when I actually get to her resource pages, right, there's going to be a bunch of information here. This was written, again, more specifically for SEO to start. And then on top of that, she's got her listings alongside of the content. And so this to me is a really great traditional version of she had content written for her customers. That content ranks well for SEO. It's got a bunch of information in a more traditional SEO format. And then she's got the listings to back it and support all the content that she just wrote.
Perfect.
Loving the structure.
Dude, I think the one thing that we can take from this, I'm looking at Amy's site on my website, on my browser now. I found her link. Um, is what are the questions that are being asked daily in conversations with
Mm-hmm.
clients
Yep.
on the phone and in person? I think we should have either your note on your phone, a journal, anything, because you can take those and you can type those into Google, and then even Google gives you other suggestions that are related to that right underneath. And now you can start just dumping them into Placester, or you can create them on your own, but Placester can do it for you daily based on what you just dump in there.
100%. I completely agree with you. There's using the tools like a Google or like a Chat GPT to give you prompts for more ideas. It's one of those like work smarter, not harder kind of things. But
Yeah.
let that origin come from something organic like those conversations that you're having, because most of us have the same conversations for good or for bad, day in or day out. And that's fodder that we can use for really great, valuable content. Um, I'm going to flip over to this site. So, getting into more of the IDX front,
Okay.
I love the way that this team has used IDX on their site. So
Oh, whoa,
they don't
whoa.
write as much
Hold on.
content. Yeah.
Scroll back up and down slowly into that. So I want to see how that IDX pops the listings.
Yeah. This great little thing. Yeah.
So,
You're going to see the flips
Oh,
that come
yeah,
up
like
here.
that, how it
Yeah, a
flipped
little
into that.
animation. Yeah, yeah. So a lot of option for customization for things like that. I laugh with people like, is somebody going to buy or not buy because you have it? No. But is somebody going to have that little moment of like, oh, they care, right? They kind of care about details. They care about the little things. And I don't know, subconsciously, when you see little things like that, this wasn't slapped together, somebody put purpose into it. Those are just those little breadcrumbs that our brain uses to then make purchasing decisions later on. I've been to so many sites where it looks like nobody's touched it for, months or even years. And I just go, I don't know, like if you have something out there with your name on it and you're not paying attention to it, I don't know, maybe I won't make that my one decision, but it creates this little signal for me, a little orange, a little red flag that I'm going to use in this pattern matching of whether or not I want to work with you. Now, I go to using listings for someone like this. Now, this is an established team. They've got their own listings. And so if you're out there thinking, what do I do with my own listings? I want to create a little highlight when somebody does get to my site. I think this is phenomenal. Starting with our listings shows people that number one, you're credible in the area, you've got activity, but it also shows people like what price point are we talking about here? What style of home? And so I'm sure you've seen this, Tristan. You go to somebody's site and they set the IDX feed up. And what does the IDX feed always default to? Sort price high to low. And so I'll jump on somebody's site, I'll see the one $25 million listing and then a bunch of vacant land for 10 million. And I'm just like, I don't think I should be here. Like, this is a different price point that I'll probably never get to see. And I kind of just get deterred and leave. And so I love looking at a site like this. We've got 1.3, we've got 199. They're not scared to show all different price ranges because this is what their team is working in, right? This is authentic to their group. And I just think it's meaningful because it shows somebody, oh, I understand what you typically buy and sell. Um, Same thing too. I'm sure sometimes you've heard mixed things about whether or not you should promote your sold listings. I'm a huge advocate that if you've worked in my neighborhood, you've worked in my area, I love to know what the Joneses did. Who do they work with? And so having their sold listings here on the homepage, I think is a phenomenal way to use IDX to show somebody again that you've been trusted, probably by one of their neighbors in the area. So don't be scared to show those sold listings. If I go back to, Amy's site, she has a very similar things. She has a recently sold page. She's got some beautiful properties on here. She has it tucked away and she shares it more individually with clients than she does on her homepage. Multiple ways to use it though.
I like this, man. What happens when can you click on those cards or
She
no?
doesn't do clickable cards. No. The other sites do. You can set them up as clickable cards.
I have a question on this one, Casey, for me. If
Yeah.
we go back to the sold,
Yeah.
go back to that sold section, because uh Placester builds it all out through JSON rather than like actual text, right? It's kind of like
Yep.
coded in.
Yep.
Would would that matter more if you go back to that sold those sold cards
Yeah.
so that it actually shows up on Google overview? Because if I'm looking at it like
Yeah.
this is are pretty high on a normal site. This is never going to show up because it can't read it well.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it depends what strategy you want to use for them. If you're trying to get found for your sold listings, the suggestion that I would make, if you want my best practices, are I would try to tie together your testimonials with the actual sold property card itself. I can share an example after this call with the group where you'd have hey, Tristan helped me, get our property listed and sold within 45 days, which is important given a move we had for my company. And then I would list the property under it with my story as the agent. And so you combining three elements. You've got your review or testimonial from the buyer or seller. You've got the actual quantitative, this was the property, these were the facts about it. And then you've got your write up. Hey, I worked with this seller, they came to me through a mutual friend that we had. We sat down and you just described that journey. putting all three of those things together are going to give you the best chance when somebody searches like, hey, show me, somebody in the Westport area who specializes in relocation because I have to move for work. And you can hit on all of those key elements on one page and then start to build up a repository on a page like this that has those little micro pages with those three categories all in it.
I like that strategy, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to be your best practice if there's one to follow out there.
You
Um,
you also I know we're gonna go side, but whatever. You you gave me a really good idea on something to blog about as you were going through this.
yeah,
And everyone paying attention, please write this down, especially if we're going to go with Placester, because you can do this locally. And in the market we're heading into, nationally, we're averaging 52 days on market. And if you go back years, if you've been in this business for a while, that's actually low. But for where we're coming out of, that's high.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Everybody was used to under 30. So the question people are typing up a lot is, why is my home not selling in, and then whatever city I'm in? If you write a blog for every single city or track, or do that inside of the Playster website, that would bring in a lot of different real inquiries that would then send them into your IDX and website.
I love that. I'm going to ride that point with you really quick.
Dude,
So again, using IDX to help yourself get found through SEO and AEO. We've had our AEO content engine running behind the scenes on our site. Some of it manual, like me putting in prompts. Some of it happening automatically. And so I love the one that you just said about what's going on with days on market, or why is it taking so long for X or Y to sell. We have one of these really great, we kind of flipped this concept of a real estate guide. Remember, it was like South End Boston real estate guide, and it was just kind of blank. And we're making this more about what are the questions. And so I love playing around. There's like, where do people actually live in Boston? Like, I'll show you, right? Make your website as conversational. This is the homepage, right? This is like the landing page. This isn't just like an article somewhere that was written. Let your homepage be that same conversation engine. And so if I go onto a page like this, looking to buy in the South End, see what real estate market is doing and how it's impacting buyers, you could have
mhm.
a similar version of this where,
Yes.
it's pulling on real, up to date, updated every 15 minutes, listing data and stats. So like your days on market here for this neighborhood particular is kind of something. It's got all these stats pulling in, which is great. Then you've got the content, right? So this is
Mhm.
again structured in a way, we've talked about this seed structure before,
Yeah.
structured in a way for the search engines to uh, both on the back end, which I'll show you for SEO, but for AEO, them able to read this data effectively because we've got all the tech there. So now you got to have the right actual content structure on the page. And then what is that coupled with after you have all this information? You've got real listings here for that area.
That's
And
the key. That's really what brings it together right there.
it is. It is. It's having all three. It's if I go back here, right? Let's look at this area page. I'm going to show you the back end of the Placester site. If you've never been in the back end of the Placester site, it is, having spent a lot of time using editors, it is literally one of the easiest to use. But on the back end of the site, this is the page. So we've got the feed
Mhm.
already kind of in there with our content.
Yeah.
But if I go down here, automatically done for me,
Okay.
meta title, meta description, meta keywords, meta image. So on the SEO side,
Mm.
we're covered. Okay,
Okay.
great. On the AEO side, we see the same structure that we've been looking for, this really great question answer, be
Dude, yes.
concise.
Look at that.
And you've got listings down here. And because this IDX feed updates every 15 minutes, the market stats at the top are going to update, the listings
Mm.
themselves are going to update. And so you don't have to worry about writing an article and going, oh no, I've got to go back there and put some properties on it. This is going to happen just out of the gate for you. Nothing you have to do here. Um, Now, if we go back to the actual site itself, so we looked at one that's more of that area guide. I love the suggestion you used. The other thing to consider, this is a blog that was written this morning, Charlestown Navy Yard. We've got this new structure, given this cool, concise answer. great suggestion from somebody we know. And then there's like CTAs, search our current inventory for homes for sale in Charlestown. So this isn't just an listing featured article, but it's got those CTAs that we called out before. And then these CTAs are going to have you jump out to pre-built search pages. Again, this happens automatically in the background for you. Neighborhood filled in with Charlestown. It's going to just update with all the new listings. So again, I don't have to worry about updating this link. Once Placester builds this article for me and it's already out there, that same, going back here, this link here, it's just going to always live and refresh behind the scenes.
Dude, I love this. And yes, it's being recorded, guys. It lives right now on the Placester YouTube channel. I just put it in there so you can take a look at it, rewatch this. On these, dude, I love this site. Why didn't you show me this site before?
This site, her site's great. And I want to show the site because this is a great example of leaning into your local niche. So this realtor, they focus on acreage, horse properties. And I've actually never ridden a horse before, so I don't know anything about this, but I look at this and I see indoor arena properties, outdoor arena properties. And so they've got these really awesome search pages that are built specifically around criteria that she does behind the scenes that have this indoor arena tag. So she builds this page, it auto updates. But I also want to show you her blog. I love her blog. She has true local information, and it is about people who love horses. So, hauling with your horse, there's horse camps, there are equestrian helmets, right? She has an article about comparing helmets for equestrian riders. Now, you might read this and go like, how is that real estate focused? But this is the stuff that people organically search for, and they end up finding articles like it. I literally took one of her articles. I said, I'm looking to buy some land around Bend, Oregon. What's the difference between EFU and MUA? I happened to see her have a little write-up about it. And she is the second result under a .gov site as a resource. And you can see the read more here. And it takes it because she's got this written all over her site because this is important. This matters. And so her creating content, whether that wasn't a search term, like I need to buy a 3-bedroom X amount of acreage. This is just about information, high level information. And she's being found. She's got articles that write to it. This is right to her blog. And then remember, when somebody's on her site and they're looking around, okay, the visuals are there, the searches are there. It all lines up under that same theme of like, this realtor knows what they're talking about for a local topic, and that topic has bleed over into the type of real estate searching that I might do. And I just think she checks all the boxes extremely well here.
Dude, yes. Okay, a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Are the scroll down a little bit to the images, the smaller images? Are those images and those cards, are those real or are they AI?
It is a mix. I cannot tell anymore what's
Okay,
real in AI. So I don't
cool.
want to be the one to tell you, but I
All
can
right.
find out.
No, no, it's just that was a question for me. All right. And then next,
Yeah.
click on the any of them, indoor arena, whatever. You clicked
Yeah.
on
Let's do
one
outdoor.
before. All right. Click on that one, and then when it opens up, do you think there's an opportunity right there above the IDX page to put in more about this and what this means, or no?
Absolutely. You could do content in 100%. You could
Got it.
have any set of information on these pages where you're doing more of a descriptor of, hey, outdoor matters a lot for X reason versus indoor. Here are some properties in the market right now that match that criteria. You could support that with video or photos if you wanted alongside of that. So this blending of the actual written content, right? And this is probably more similar to, if we went back to this site, probably more similar to an article like this, where we've got, the actual write up ahead of time. And then you've got, the content that lives inside of there. You've got some market stats, right? And then you can have the listings under it. This one's a shorter description. Go back here. This is the one we have the longer description. They
Dude,
all
I like
act
that.
as a similar blank palette, whether we fill it in for you automatically or you use our AI tools or you just do it on your own. They act as a blank palette to have listings, AEO specific and supported content and SEO supported content all in one singular place.
2 questions for you. 3 questions for you.
Yeah.
Question number 1, this is your website?
This is the site that I build out. This is my site that I've been working on. I love to be the tester of the tools that we build and we put
Why
out
the
here.
hell didn't you show me this before, bro? This looks nice.
I
This
gotta
looks
save a little bit.
really
I gotta
nice.
save a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. It helps to know the area, right? I put myself in the shoes of like,
Yeah.
hey, I live here. I know this. What would I want out of an agent site that I was working with?
Yeah, when I go through where do people actually live in Boston, I'll show you that right there with the white lettering and the really pretty pictures. That looks like I'm scrolling through Instagram.
Right. And that I love that you said that. You want this to feel familiar to people, right?
Yeah.
You don't want something that's so foreign they don't understand either language or layout. And the
Casey,
layout, the
I wanna
picture,
duplicate your site for my area.
yeah.
Okay.
That'll be our next project we work on.
All right. That's question number 1. That was question number 1. Question number 2 is from Liz. Do you and this is, in reference to the Oregon agent that you showed.
Yeah.
Do you know how much time she takes writing blog posts? Does she use AI to help?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know specifically how much time that she spends on writing blog posts. When I look at this one here, I would say I have to imagine there's a lot of this she might be doing on her own with some help of AI.
Mhm.
I can tell by reading some of these, like what's a good one here? Um, the shaving 101 here, like this looks like when I
Oh,
read
that
this
looks like
content
AI helped.
supported by
100%.
AI. Great structure, a lot of information there. But then when I look at something like, where's a good one? Um, Maybe this was one of them. This one here, it was a little bit lighter. Oh no, this is a great 8. I think this looks like one that I
That looks like more AI than the other one, dude.
she put AI into that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few that I saw that maybe looked a little lighter, but these are all looking like a little bit of AI help, which is a great thing because I look at that structure and it's like I know how to read it because I, the consumer, am being conditioned. And then the computer is being conditioned, which is even better to read this information and understand how to surface it. So you're getting a kind of a twofer there, which is like, ooh, great. I know what I'm looking for as the one reading it and the search engine's finding it.
Yeah, what I would do, and also to hit on what Nogui's saying, what's up, buddy? Uh, he says it's kind of crazy not to use AI. What I would do is I'd write it out, throw it into I at this point I'd throw it into Placester and be like, just here it is, and then Placester would organize it correctly so that it all fits, and I know it's going to show up on the AI overview. At least I have a better
Yeah.
chance.
Yeah.
Um, that's how I would do it. Going into then the third question, Tim, what's up, Tim? Does Placester do landing pages?
Yeah, we do landing pages, and we do landing pages a few different ways. We do landing pages. I'll see if I can find one really quick where we can do them as focused on a particular property. So
Mm,
if you want to highlight an actual listing, this team, the Mona Lisa team, they do this a lot with featured listings where they'll have this as a more local landing page. So if you go to 9eastern.com, they've got this as their own landing page. They'll share this in their marketing. They've added some extra information that's not something you'd readily find in the MLS. And then they have like listing information or showing information for open houses. And then this got questions thing. So you could imagine turning this into an open home sign in. If you want to pop open your computer, this sits at the top. You just move the module around, sign in here. You can do it this way. You can do it for, just content. If you have an ebook or some kind of downloadable, all those will work as landing pages on Placester.
thanks, buddy. All right, that's a wrap, everybody. If you have any questions, please throw them into the chat. You can always find us online. It's easy to find Casey, especially now that he has his own cool site. This is
Yeah,
brought,
I'm going for rankings next. That's my next thing.
this is brought to you by Placester. You've been watching us help Placester now grow even more because I love what they're doing. and we're working on my site too. So if you're interested, just visit Placester.com. Ronnie, thanks for being here. Nogui, thanks for participating, buddy. I always like to see you. Diary Davis, all things AI. Yes, let's keep it up. And if
Yeah.
you have any questions, again, just reach out to me.
We're
I'll connect
accessible.
you to Casey.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.